we didn't know that you should pick your neighbor's garbage in broad daylight for furniture. Maybe playing folk music on the front porch, selling items to the neighbors like bread, taking in their ironing. Like we were, and then also we performed on stage as a family band. So we really stood out in that neighborhood as not being quite knowing the rules, which for kids is not as easy. I mean, you look back with it, it's nostalgia, but I think a lot of kids feel like outsiders. But we took that to a new level, I think. My dad grew up in Canada before like electricity and stuff, like in a deep rural area, and he said they were always standing around like memorizing poetry. And so when we were small, he would read these memorized poems to us, songs and things. So I think the whole family just kind of got in the habit.
And when did you start to write down your stories?
I think a lot of kids discover this when they're in grade school, that they like to make up stories, and that was certainly true of me. I would do things like that. Try and write advertising to sell my little sister. I tried to describe her in glowing terms so someone would purchase her, things like that.
Hearing about people with siblings.
Yeah.
How does your writing with Ariel Gore and the literary kitchen work?
Ariel Gore was a founder of this magazine in the United States called Hip Mama. And she started it when she herself was a teen mom, and that she didn't see any representation for people that are not like on the total beaten track. And when I discovered Ariel Gore's writing, I was single parenting. I was divorced. Seemed like things were a struggle, and people were pretty judgmental about like just all these things that not everybody has to consider. And her writing was so powerful. When she started writing, offering online classes, I joined up. She was based in like the West Coast, but that was the moment I had, like at nighttime, just a little bit of stolen time there. So that's how I started. And her really welcoming, like, yeah, of course you're a writer, just write whatever, start anywhere, write what's on your mind, write according to this prompt. And that's where all the stories pretty much almost came from.
Your work deals with some pretty real and challenging life events for a young woman, actually, a group of young women. And so, how do you associate fairy tales with this form of storytelling?
I grew up in this house right here, and a lot of these stories about Detroit are the pictures are in grayscale. I wanted to tell stories that that showed people being strong, resilient, having happy endings no matter what they're going through, instead of saying, "Oh, look at this sad, sad, decaying city." So yeah, I think the situations are tough, and at the same time, the people are having actually happy endings because they're not giving themselves away or getting defeated. Like the impetus for it is like to deliberately not ending the stories on like sad notes. The endings are fantastical in some of them, depending on what actually happened. Some things are exaggerated. It's drawing from reality, but it's fiction. And
Resilience is such a classic 313 trait, though. And I love that you've built that into your book, even when there is magic realism and magic involved, that it still comes through that these are very much Detroit fairy tales in that way.
yeah, thanks for emphasizing that. And I think more recently, people are also talking about resilience as being something forced upon people in difficult situations. And then the people looking at the resilient people get to feel like sorry for them or energized by them. And I think the characters in my book are not, they are resilient, but they're not resilient for your display. They're just being themselves.